All right, good afternoon, welcome. Apologies for the slight mix-up. Now, Justice Kaplana Rawal has lost the bid to have one of the judges removed from the bench of judges hearing her case on retirement age. Rawal had claimed that Justice Milton Mahandia was biased and needed to be disqualified from hearing the case. She accused Mahandia of allegedly discussing her case with other parties, including the Attorney General.
We take cognizance that the right to fair hearing is embedded in our Constitution, which emphasizes that justice must be done to all without delay or undue regard to procedural technicalities. The Constitution has vested in the courts judicial authority and mandate, and has expressly stated that the right to fair hearing cannot be limited or abridged. That right is absolute. The present application is a from what the law requires to be established to arrive at a finding of existence of possibility of bias. It is our finding that the application lacks merit, as there is no evidence of circumstances that would give rise to prejudice or jaundiced view on the part of the presiding judge. In conclusion, and applying the test in Porter versus Margil, no fair-minded and informed observer, having considered the facts, would conclude that there is a possibility that the presiding judge of this court or this court will not be impartial or fair or will be biased. In the result, we dismiss the notice of motion dated 15th February 2016 with costs to the respondents.
All right, we'll have plenty more of that in this bulletin and other subsequent bulletin. But for now, we're joined by Michelle Ngele, who's at the INM studios. Michelle, where does this essentially leave the case now?
Good afternoon, Smart. I cannot hear you very clearly, but Deputy Chief Justice Kaplana Rawal was dealt a blow today by the Court of Appeal after the court dismissed her motion seeking for the disqualification of Justice Makandia from the bench that is listening to her retirement age. Now, Deputy Chief Justice Kaplana Rawal had moved to court on claims of bias by the judges sitting in her retirement age case. In her application filed by her lawyers, she had specifically singled out Justice Makandia as speaking to outside parties regarding her case, and she specifically mentions an incident in the application where Justice Makandia allegedly met Attorney General Githu Muigai at Karen Club in Nairobi to allegedly plot how to throw her out of the judiciary. And so Deputy Chief Justice Kaplana Rawal moved to court seeking for the disqualification of Justice Makandia from the bench. But in a ruling today by the Court of Appeal, the court has upheld that there is indeed no evidence to show that there would be bias or impartiality on the part of Justice Makandia, for the ruling that it is a 7-judge bench listening to this case, and that one judge cannot influence the entire outcome of the ruling. And so it is on that ground that the motion has been dismissed by the Court of Appeal with costs to the respondents. And so that means that the Deputy Chief Justice will have to pay the costs of the appeal. And as we speak, it really is a big blow to the Deputy Chief Justice, Smart, especially with regard to what will be happening next. The next case now, of course, her retirement age case continues, and it is slated for the 6th of April this year as the case continues. But what is to happen to Deputy Chief Justice Kaplana Rawal now? Because the Judicial Service Commission had said that the Deputy Justice should face charges of perjury should her allegations against Attorney General Githu Muigai be false. And so with that decision by the Court of Appeal saying that Justice Makandia can indeed sit in the hearing and that he would not influence the case in any way, then it means that Deputy Chief Justice Kaplana Rawal very well could be facing charges of perjury now. But Kaplana Rawal has blamed this mostly on the succession wars in the judiciary, saying that there was an agreement even when the new constitution was being passed, that judges who had taken oath under the new constitution could still retire at the age of 74. The judges, however, say that it really is bizarre that she wants to retire at the age of 74 because when she became the Deputy Chief Justice, she took a new oath under the new constitution, meaning then that she had started afresh. And so the battle continues on the 6th of April as she seeks to extend her stay in the judiciary. Smart.
Well, Michelle, I just back to the point that I just last finished, because these cases take turns, and if you like, Kenyans might have lost exactly why is the Deputy Chief Justice fighting her retirement per se. And the questions that Kenyans are asking is substantive. Is she saying that she should not retire, or is she fighting the fact that at 70, when she's getting a new appointment, it's not a new appointment, she has been in the judiciary for quite a long time?
Yes, she has been in office for quite a long time, having taken oath in the old constitution. But she wants to retire at the age of 74. And right now, Smart, it is a very heated season in the judiciary, them having being the general elections coming up in just a few months. And Chief Justice Willie Mutunga is also set to retire in a few months. Already, we have had about 4 female contenders for the position of Deputy Chief Justice, and while one male contender for the position. But the Court of Appeal had ruled that Deputy Chief Justice Kaplana Rawal her position until her retirement case is heard and determined. But the genesis of all this, which spurred quite a lot of controversy in the judiciary, is that these judges, there are 3 judges, and that is Justice Kaplana Rawal, Justice Philip Tunoi, and Justice Onyancha, who were being forced by the High Court to retire at the age of 70. We had members of the Judicial Service Commission move to court to block these judges from appealing that decision by the High Court, an application that was rejected by the court. But they still insist that they had an agreement while taking oath of office under the new constitution, that they would serve their tenure up until the age of 74 years. And so that is what they are fighting now. She wants an extension to the age of 74, of course, having already attained the age of 70 now. And it has been quite a long case for the Deputy Chief Justice, and she is pointing an accusing finger Judicial Service Commission and Attorney General Given Muigai of trying to throw not just her but Justice Philip Tunoi as well out of court. And Justice Tunoi, who is facing allegations of bribery of receiving 200 million shillings from Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero, has also filed the same application seeking for the disqualification of Justice Makandia and the disqualification of Justice GBM Kariuki, previously still under the charges of bias. Smart.
Michelle, this is what's interesting about this case, and also most problematic, because we have Justice Philip Tunoi and Justice Onyancha and, of course, Justice Kaplana Rawal fighting this case. We do not have an indication when this case would finally be heard conclusively and determined. The CJ is, in fact, retiring in June or July. This is a crisis in the making, isn't it?
Well, yeah, this definitely is affecting the situation with the Chief Justice set to retire soon. Then the election, the judiciary then seem to be heating up. In fact, there seems to be a dispute between judges and magistrates who entered the judiciary under the old constitution and those who entered the judiciary under the new dispensation. And this is what Justice Kaplana Rawal and Justice Philip Tunoi have continuously pointed out, that they are being targeted because of these election or politics in the judiciary, so to speak. And well, when we speak of Justice Tunoi, he is one of the longest serving judges in the country, having served under 10 chief justices. Smart. And so him being the oldest judge in the judiciary, he is very well eligible to clinch the position of chief justice. And so he says, at least according to Justice Tunoi himself, he says that is the reason why he is being targeted with the bribery allegations. Now, when it comes to Kaplana Rawal, she is also citing these disparities between the old judges and the new judges, saying that the new judges are trying to throw her of the judiciary, and when we speak now, it's actually only new judges, or at least judges who came into office under the new dispensation, that are sitting in the bench hearing the retirement case against Kaplana Rawal. So as for now, her retirement age case will continue officially on the 6th of April. Justice Tunoi's retirement age case will be handled by the tribunal that was appointed by President Uhuru Kenyatta to investigate the bribery allegations against him, and we're yet to hear when the case against Justice Onyancha will be. But it is indeed very interesting times for the judiciary there, it being in the wake of politics and now being on the spotlight, not only with this retirement case, but the bribery allegations against Supreme Court Judge Philip Tunoi. Smart.
Well, such weighty matters. Thank you very much, Michelle. I'm going to keep an eye out for us. Thank you very much for that. Now we cross over to Mombasa, where our coast reporter Francis Ontoma is standing by to give the latest regarding the withdrawal of security details assigned to Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho. If you can hear me, Francis, what's the latest? Has the security of the governor been returned to him?
Well, James Smart, that is the big story here in the coast region, especially here in Mombasa. That is the story many are talking about. And yes, indeed, Joho confirmed that withdrawal of his bodyguards. And also the very latest that was coming from him is the fact that he says that he got from the bodies tasked with licensing firearms, that he should surrender his firearm to those authorities. That is the very latest coming from that front. And we've had many leaders coming out to speak about this particular issue. Members of County Assembly from Mombasa were actually up in arms, saying that these sort of tussles have escalated to levels that had not been imagined before, and they are saying that this particular really contest between the authorities here, the national government and the county government, should end. What getting James Smart is the fact that also Mvita, Member of Parliament Abdul, also claiming that there was a withdrawal of his only bodyguard, and then he says that he's facing the same moves. Of course, all of them trying to connect these particular events to the events that transpired the other day after the by-election in Malindi. A lot of vagueness, a lot of inconsistency continues to greet these particular issues, especially given that we are getting contradicting statements coming from different quarters. While security apparatus here in Mombasa, the regional coordinator, the regional commander for the police here in Mombasa, says that the withdrawal of these officers was actually meant to take away these officers and take them for some sort of training. But we're also getting reports from vigilance that they were withdrawn in a scheme that is that targets actually to be cast across all the 47 governors in Kenya to try and downscale the number of officers who man the governors. James Smart.
Just one final question for me, Francis, if you can engage me for a second, and if you will, we take the point that the security was indeed withdrawn for some sort of training. Then it raises serious problems that really, it means that someone is running the country from their back pockets, because there's absolutely no communication. There was no letter to indicate the same, and people just wake up in the morning and they vanish from thin air.
If I get your question right, James Smart, that is of course what we are getting from the commander here of police, Francis Onjoi, who says that they are taking them for training. But why? What these two governors are questioning actually are the circumstances pertaining this latest development, and also the timing, especially given that it comes a few days after the by-election in Malindi, of course, where we saw a lot of push and pull between Marwa and also the two governors, who claimed that Marwa was out to sway the by-election and out to frustrate their looking at these developments and the timing, that is what these governors are saying, and they are set to have a press briefing later on in the day to try and question and rather give their side of the story, why they feel it is intimidation coming from the national government. James Smart.
Well, Francis Otoma, let's hear what the governors say much later on, and hope that these can be resolved in a way that is amicable to everyone. Now, Kenya is losing a third of its state budget, the equivalent of about 600 billion to corruption every year. The country's new anti-graft chief, Philip Kinesu, has said in an interview, he says that his agency was badly short of staff and modern equipment to tackle the problem. Kinisu says the body is also badly short-staffed and in need of modern equipment. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta has acknowledged corruption has reached levels that threaten national security.
This is an institution that needs to be supported to work, an institution that we need to work through in order to improve our country. I'll continue doing what I'm doing. Our total establishment in terms of manpower is just 2,300. That 2,300 is not in post right now. We are less than 1/3 of the total manpower that we require. So if with that shortcoming, we also went ahead and tackled every case, we'll spread ourselves too thin and we shall not be effective. By some accounts, if you take it that we're losing upwards of 1/3 of the country's national product, 600 billion plus,